The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Conor Chaplin is asked, how different is the Fratton Park setup to what it was when he left?
Yeah, lots different. I think you can see the progress from afar, watching as a fan, but I think coming in today and coming to the training ground, you can see the progress off the pitch and the facilities and things like that. And it's really getting to a place where the club's in real good place. So good to see, especially from when I left as well. It's obviously, I know it's a long time, so you'd expect that, but that's not always the case. So probably to see that natural progression. I'm just excited to meet my teammates and excited to get on the grass.
See, we have to remember that he didn't just use Fratton Park, as we fans do, as a place to go and watch football. He was brought up as a boy through the various categories of youth football at Fratton Park. So he knows, he says, some people who are still here that he remembers, which led to him feeling quite nostalgic. But he also has a keen eye for some of the improvements that have been made to the ground, of course, the old lady, and also to the training facilities, which must be very different from what he remembers, what he got used to as a young footballer with tremendous potential. So he will know and fully understand and be able to affect the rest of the dressing room with an understanding of what this derby means to Portsmouth, because maybe he even went to a derby or two himself. So he knows what kind of an atmosphere gets stirred up, which then spills onto the pitch sometimes, for the better, hopefully. It sharpens the football, it heightens the contribution that the players want to make. It maybe even sharpens their skills. It certainly makes sure that 50-50s are competitively fought. So it's a mouth-watering prospect, of course, this up-and-coming derby, and having a lad who remembers it as a supporter and who has a keen eye for the improvements that Pompey have made, as he says, from afar, watching the club avoid disappearing and gradually working its way back to where it should be, which is at the very least a highly rated championship side, and he gets all of that. So boy, will he get it. When I say get it, he'll get it when he runs out onto that pitch at St Mary's. And when he takes to the Fratton pitch for the first time in a blue shirt, I mean, just plain old wow. Wow. What a capture.
5 members of the Pompey squad will be representing their countries during the September international break. Hayden Matthews and Adrian Segecic are both in the Australia squad for the Anzac Soccer Ashes against Antipodean neighbours New Zealand. The sides meet in Canberra on Friday before the return leg in Auckland on Tuesday, September 9th. Both players will be aiming to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup, which the Socceroos have already qualified for. Segecic will be looking to earn his first senior cap, while Matthews' only previous outing was in a qualifier against Bahrain last year. Also included in Tony Popovic's 25-man squad for the 2 games is former Fratton loanee Sammy Silveira. Luke Leroux is named in the South Africa squad for 2 crucial World Cup qualifying matches. Bafana take on Lesotho on Friday before hosting Nigeria on Tuesday, September 9th. They are currently leading Group C with 13 points from 6 matches, 5 ahead of Rwanda and Benin, with only the top side guaranteed a spot at next summer's tournament. Midfielder Leroux, who made his international debut in 2022, will be looking to add to the 9 senior caps he has already won. Terry Devlin is in the Northern Ireland squad for the start of their World Cup qualifying campaign. Michael O'Neill's side will look to get off to a good start when they visit Luxembourg on Thursday before a huge contest in Germany on Sunday. They are in Group A, which only contains 4 sides and also includes Slovakia. The countries that finish top qualify automatically, with runners-up entering the playoffs. Devlin is looking to add to his 3 senior caps, having made his debut in a 1-1 draw against Switzerland back in March. Mackenzie Kirk is in the Northern Ireland under-21 squad that are starting their quest to qualify for the 2027 UEFA European Under-21 Championship. They visit Georgia on Tuesday, September 9th in Group F, which also contains Germany, Greece, Latvia and Malta.
How does Steve Bone think Pompey are going to come out against Southampton?
I don't necessarily think we'll come out guns blazing from the first whistle, but I do think I do wonder if our approach generally to away games this season has shifted a little bit. There seems to be a little bit more confidence that we can go to some of these away games, play as we like to play, so dictate the play a little bit when we can, not let the home team control the game. And I'm looking at our results so far. We've won at Oxford, not a very memorable game, but we did. It was a professional performance. It was never too much of a worry that we'd come away with the points after we got ahead. And then we've gone to West Brom, where, remember, we lost by 5-1 last year, in fact earlier this year, but last season. And we've gone there, we've gone behind, and we've probably had a lot of people thinking, oh, here we go again, this is another of these away games that we've got no hope in, we're going to end up losing this 2 or 3-0. And then we've come back and we've kept going, we've stuck to our principles, stuck to our game. We've got a very good equaliser with Murphy linking up with Bishop, and a great header by Bishop, and we've ended up being, getting a deserved point there.
And the whole of Steve Bone's podcast can be heard on Pompey Sound's podcast library. Has he got that right? He gets so many things right. Pompey are more productive away from home. Of course, we could hardly be less productive away from home than we were last season. We are more productive, but he senses in that an attitude change and a change of approach, and we are taking the game to them, and it seems to be paying dividends. So long may it last. And if it is going to be curtailed, can it please not be curtailed until the final whistle blows at whatever it is, 2:00 in the afternoon at St Mary's.
Southampton boss will be without 7 senior players during the first international break of the season as Saints prepare to face rivals Portsmouth. 4 of the players who started Saturday's 2-2 draw at Watford are away with their national teams, but most recent signings will report to Staplewood. Here's a rundown of who has been called up to represent their country this month. First-choice shot-stopper Gavin Bazunu was recalled to the Republic of Ireland squad by Heimir Hallgrimsson, following his recovery from injury. The 23-year-old has started all 4 championship games, and has been called up alongside Brentford's Cowimhin Kelleher and Everton's Mark Travers. With youngster Dylan Moody away with England's under-18s, Saints are down to just 2 of their usual goalkeepers in first-team training. Defenders. Joshua Kwashi missed out on the Germany's squad for the UEFA Under-21 Championship this summer, but has been called up again this month. Free-kick hero Ryan Manning is also due to go away with the Republic of Ireland squad for their World Cup qualifiers against Hungary and Armenia. Midfielders. It's no surprise to see Shay Charles named in Northern Ireland's squad for their World Cup qualifiers, and the 21-year-old could even wear the armband. Finn Azaz is the 3rd player named in Ireland's squad, and will be looking to add to his 7 caps after making his Saints debut against Watford. Forwards. Teenager Jay Robinson remains a part of England's youth teams and has been called up to the under-19 squad alongside Bailey De Pepper. Summer arrival Damian Downs jetted off halfway across the globe to represent the USA in their friendlies against South Korea and Japan.
So they lose a couple more players than we do, and it looks as though they lose a couple or 3 real first-teamers, and I think you can safely say the only nailed-on first-teamer that we lose is Adrian Segicic. Their training will be a little bit disrupted. They've only got 2 goalkeepers in the building on the grass during this fortnight period, with Bazunu, who we know all about, away. They had, of course, a dire season last season. Have they recovered from that? The wisdom used to be that if you're a relegated side, you've been used to losing, and getting the winning habit back week in, week out can be tricky. The reverse also can apply. If you're a promoted side, you've been used to winning. Jose Mourinho was very keen on this one. Watch out for the teams that are coming up to the Premier League from the Championship, because they're used to winning, and they know all about it, and it comes naturally to them. Well, Southampton had a rotten season, and we don't mind that, naturally enough. So here they are. We're at their doorstep soon. Pre-season, they had a game against Eastleigh, which they won 2-1. And then they went for their trip abroad. They drew 1-1 with Castellón. They had 2 competitive games out there, and they were beaten 2-1 by Espanyol, who are no mugs. Then they had another friendly at their place against Brighton. and got a decent draw there. But they've been getting a lot of draws. They started the season with that good win for them, wasn't it, against Wrexham? As in, Wrexham are a side that a lot of people are keeping an eye on because they're spending money on all sorts of projects, including their squad. So that was a decent start to the season for them. But did it blow away the cobwebs? Well, they then had an EFL Cup first round game, which they squeaked a win over mighty Northampton Town, 1-0 at their place. And by the way, they're looking for the EFL Cup. They fancy it. We'll get to that in just a second. Then they had a league game against Ipswich. They went to Ipswich and they got a decent point. 1-1 that game finished. And they'll probably be quite pleased with that because Ipswich are Ipswich and pretty much everybody going there would be happy with a point from the Championship, that is. And then they went down at home to Stoke. 2-1, and Stoke had a player red carded. So that was not a good day for them. That was a Saturday fixture. Then they saw off Norwich. They went to Norwich in the EFL Cup second round, and they saw Norwich off comfortably 3-0 and set themselves up with a pretty decent tie in the third round of the EFL Cup. We'll get to that in just a second. What we're looking at here is what sort of shape they're going to be in when they run out against us on Sunday lunchtime, isn't it now? And then they went to Watford and they got another draw. So they've been getting plenty of draws, scoring on average 1 3/4 goals a game. A 2-2 draw at Watford is probably a decent result. Again, it's not the result of a side that is looking seriously at bouncing straight back into the Premier League. Can you blame them? Because they were humiliated in the Premier League. And if you were part of the backroom operations at Southampton, the owner, the shareholders, if they have shareholders, the board of directors, and possibly the manager is in on it, as well as quite a few other backroom people are saying, they'll be happy to do what we'll be happy to do, which is to finish a creditable mid-table 9, 10, 11, something like that. They won't disgrace themselves, but they won't be covered in glory either, because they really, I suspect, this is just a personal suspicion, they don't want to bounce straight back. They don't want another season or risk having another season like the season that they've just had. So on the 14th of September, Sunday it is, not Saturday, the Sunday game between us and Southampton, kick-off midday. They will have had 7 players return from international duty. One of them at least will have travelled as far and wide as our Aussie guys. But their training will have been marginally disrupted by losing 7 squad members. I think most clubs can live with that. That shouldn't affect anything. They may have 1 or 2 players who will pick up a few knocks and maybe have to spend some time on the treatment table when they come back. But then the same could happen to us. So I think it's fair to say that there's nothing to be read into the trials and tribulations of the players on international duty, either with Southampton or with us, which just makes the prospect of the game in hand all the more mouth-watering. Both sides should be, if not at 100%, certainly something in the high 90s.